Hello everyone, we are here with another tutorial, and in this one we will be talking about Next.js and how it render pages. I think it's very important that you understand this before you start building your project and spend your time and hours on it. So I'll explain this to a very simple example, but before I do this, I would like to just talk about what rendering is in Next.js. So there's two types of rendering. One is the static generation, and one is server-side rendering or SSR. So in static generation, what Next.js does is it will generate the HTML, and then it will present it to the client, or on the client side, the entire HTML. So it's just like you type the entire HTML and then you presented it to the client. The SSR is where it will, on each request, every time somebody requests your page, it's going to generate that HTML. So this is good if your page is mostly dynamic. So in that case, you can use the SSR, but they recommend the static generation. So one thing I was confused about is they kept talking about build time. So I thought that maybe the build time is every time we request the page and they have to build the page. But it looks like build time is when you actually do build. So I'm going to show you in this example what it means. So let's talk about the setup here. What I have is just an index.js file, the main file, and then I have a login.js file. So this is where we're gonna, when we click on it, we're gonna go to the login page. So what we can do is, first of all, let's just build this as is and then see what we get on the output. So I'm going to close this. Right now, so the build is complete. We can take a look at the output. So if I bring this here, so you can see in the next folder, this is where all the files are going to go. And if I look in the server and then go into pages, as you can see, it generated the login.html file. If I double click on it, it's actually just a static HTML file. So that's what happens when you do that's what they mean when they talk about the build time. So it will generate that page. So this is fine if you're doing a blog and your data is not changing a lot. So you can do this. But now let's say I want to take this, I go to login page and I want to give this some data actually. So let's say we want to display some time. So how can we pass those props in? So well, you can just come into login.js file and you can do this here. And to do that, what they recommend using is this get static props. There's a get server side props. We'll talk about that next, but let's use this static props. I'll type this out. So let's say I want to pass in something here. So what I can do is I'll say time, and then I can display that time here. All right, so now I want to pass this time to that guy. So here we go. So we get time, and then if I come here, then I can say time equals time. All right, so I can save this and let's run this. npm run dev. All right, so if I come here, and then as you can see, I'm getting my time. So that means this is working. So now what we're going to do is we're going to build this now, and then we are going to see what it generates. So I'm going to close this, and then I'll do npm run build. All right, so that one is complete. We can take a look at the output. So as you can see, I'm here static. I'm going to go server, pages, and again, I have the login.html file. So I'm going to double click on it. And as you can see, the time is whatever that time was. So that's what the static generation is. It will just pretty much give you the same data no matter what. But now let's say I want this to change. We want to generate this page on the fly. How can we do this? Well, for that, we can use the get server side props. I'm going to close this, and I'm going to comment this out. And then we'll say use server side props. Let's see if Copilot will help us. So not really. Async function, yeah, there you go. Time, return, props, time. So with Copilot, all you have to do is just keep pressing tab and it will do the job. Okay, so let's run this, make sure we can run this. Okay, so everything ran successfully. I'm going to click on login, And there you go. So now I'm getting the same thing. I'll refresh it. So I'm running in dev right now, so I'll go back. What I can do is I'm gonna build this now. All right, so now that is done, I'll take a look at the output again. So I'll go to server, go to pages. At this time, as you can see, there's no login.html file because this will be generated on the fly every time we access that page. Okay, so now what we need to do is we're gonna run this and see the output, like the production version. So I'll say npm start. Right, so now we are running here on 3000. So I'm gonna go ahead log in. And now every time I refresh, as you can see, it's giving me that new page. But now let's say we're gonna go one step further. And let's say that this will all remain static and you will only change this time. So what do you do in that case then? Well, you can use something called SWR hook, and let's see how we can use that. So the first thing you need to do is install it. You just do npm install SWR. So I already have it installed here, and we are just going to use it. So what I'll do is I'll comment this out as well. So it will generate now a static page as before. To do import use SWR from SWR. So what you need to do is you need to give it some I guess data. So I can get rid of this now. I don't need this. And what I can do is I can say const data error and blah blah. So it looks like Copilot picked this example from the website, but looks like maybe I don't need this because we're not going to an endpoint. We're just going to use something like a promise or timeout. So what I can say then is const fetcher is equal to we just do like this, and then I'll just create a new promise, right? And we'll say resolve. All right, yep, that's what I wanted. And I'll close this off. Close this off. So what we want to do is also set timeout exactly. And well, I don't know what time is, so what I can do is I'll grab this and I'll plug this here. Then I can do here is I'll say data. All right, so now we're going to have a static page, but the data that we have here, that actually is changing. So after 1 second, we're going to get our time. So now let's start this npm run dev. All right, so we're going to run this now, and let's see what happens. All right, so we got this, nothing is coming. I think you need to give it something. So I'll just say my endpoint. Let's save it. Here we go. So we're getting time now. Okay, so if I refresh after 1 second, I'm getting different time. Okay, so that's nice and dandy, but let's see how it'll be used in a production app. Okay, so as you can see, I don't have server-side props, no static props. So let's exit out and let's run build this actually. Build. All right, so I'm gonna come here. I'll look at the server pages. As you can see, at this time I have the login.html, so I can click on it. So there's nothing in it. I mean, well, there's something in it, but it's generated for us. And if I edit it and look at it in this editor, so let's scroll to where I know it just minimized everything, but we'll try to find that piece. All right, so as you can see, here is our text login at, and the time will actually be dynamic. So I'll come here and I'll say npm start. Right, so now the server is running at port 3000 localhost. So let's see. All right, so for refresh, we're good. So I'm going to click on login now, and boom, there you go. So now this is actually happening. So half of the page is actually static, but then the data is dynamic. And as you can see, every time I refresh, it's going to give me new time. I think that's pretty cool. There you go. See, initially you can see it's blank, and then boom, after 1 second we get the data. So you have these three options. Option number one is just statically generate the HTML. The second option is through server-side props, where the page will be generated on demand. So if you request it, you're gonna get it. And then this is the third option, where you can, pretty much have the HTML, but whatever data is needed, you can, populate that using this fetcher or this use SWR hook. So I hope that clarified now this confusion with rendering using Nextjs. Please like and subscribe, and I'll be out. Thanks, bye.